There's a massive, undeniable gulf between a player who occasionally talks trash and a generational superstar who completely embraces the role of the undisputed apex predator. For years, the WNBA establishment has tried to penalize and regulate Caitlin Clark into submission, genuinely believing that heavy-handed technical fouls, upgraded flagrants, and a hostile media environment would force her to humble herself and quietly defer to the veterans. Instead, following her absolute destruction of the Golden State Valkyries, Clark looked directly into the cameras and delivered a definitive, chilling message to the rest of the league. She is not backing down. She is not apologizing, and she will gladly write the check. Welcome back to WNBA Pro, where today we are completely ripping the doors off the hinges to break down the most defiant, unapologetic media availability of her professional career. We are blending the explosive reality of her on-court psychological warfare with the cold, hard-pressed conference receipts proving she has entirely conquered the WNBA's old guard. If you thought the tension with Tiffany Hayes and the Valkyries would force Clark to retreat, you need to radically recalibrate your reality, because we are diving straight into how she dismantled the media's fabricated defensive statistics and exposing a glaring admission from head coach Stephanie White that proves this coaching staff is still operating completely in the dark.
Oh, no way. Oh, it just makes sense for the rest tonight, so I'm not surprised. Wow, I could have got ejected. I should have been a little safer in the second half. Okay, well, I guess I have some fines coming my way. And a flagrant. Wow. Well, the rest were interesting, but I'm not going to say anything else because obviously I got probably $1,000 worth of fines coming my way, but I was just trying to get the rebound and I didn't know I got a technical foul, but thanks for letting me know. I appreciate it.
The post-game session exploded the moment a reporter pressed Clark on her intense, physical clash with Janelle Salon that triggered a technical foul, prompting an absolute masterclass in unbothered superstar arrogance. Showing zero interest in rehearsed diplomatic PR apologies or regret, Clark looked at the reporter in genuine surprise, completely unaware she had even been penalized, before delivering the ultimate dismissal of the officiating crew with a smirk. "Oh, did I get a technical? Oh, no way. Well, it just makes sense for the refs tonight, so I'm not surprised." She casually acknowledged that the league office would inevitably target her wallet, shrugging off an expected $1,000 fine like loose change. When a franchise point guard actively laughs at your disciplinary system and dismisses high-stakes penalties on the hot mic, you have officially lost the psychological war. The fines and the technicals mean absolutely nothing to her because she is operating on an entirely different economic and cultural stratosphere, and when pushed on fierce trash-talking moments, specifically when she bared a ruthless 35-foot logo 3 over Tiffany Hayes and told her to step up, Clark completely validated the aggressive energy, proving she commands a floor without apology.
Yeah, I think that's just being a competitor. And, that's what's fun. That's what I love about it. And, I think that's what gets the crowd into it, too, and gets my teammates hyped up. And I think there's times I can probably find a little bit better of a balance because, doing all that is a little bit exhausting, too. But, I just love the game. I love being out there, and I love those moments and getting the crowd hype. And
instead of running from the villain narrative, she completely leaned into it, explicitly stating, "I think that's just being a competitor, and that's what's fun. That's what I love about it." In doing so, Clark spotlighted the undeniable reality that the WNBA establishment refuses to admit. This high-octane, aggressive emotion is precisely what gets massive crowds heavily invested and completely hypes up her teammates. While she acknowledged that playing at this intensity is exhausting, she made it crystal clear that she actively feeds off the hostility. The league office might want a quiet, polite basketball product, but Clark knows that the paying consumer demands absolute, unfiltered competitive warfare. Yet, she didn't just use this press conference to control the emotional narrative. She used it to completely dismantle the mainstream media's fabricated analytics regarding her defensive capabilities, shifting the entire conversation from a critique of her attitude to a total destruction of their data.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Were you worried at all that she would have been ejected?
I didn't know that she got a technical either. So, I guess they announced it, but nobody told us. So, I thought the officials would have told us, but.
Group to close
For over a year, analysts and veteran players have relentlessly pushed the false narrative that Clark is a liability on defensive end. But during this game, She shut that narrative down entirely after the Valkyries repeatedly targeted her in isolation plays at the top of the key. Looking directly at the press pool, Clark dropped an undeniable truth bomb about her massive offensive usage rate, stating, "There's probably definitely a narrative of me not being a great defender, but I can guard, like I'm long, I know angles, and I can get my hands out." She correctly pointed out that opposing teams isolate her on defense primarily to drain her energy because she is already forced to bring the ball up 94 feet against full court pressure on every single offensive possession. Yet, despite that extreme fatigue, she sat down in her stance, locked down her yard, and forced the Valkyries guards into heavily contested, low-efficiency twos to completely neutralize the mismatch they thought they had. And while Clark was completely locking down the perimeter, Aaliyah Boston was simultaneously destroying the Valkyries in the paint, creating a terrifying two-way nightmare that the league was utterly powerless to stop. Boston pulled down a staggering 16 rebounds, crediting her elite positioning and her guards taking right shots. But the deeper truth is that the synergy between Clark and Boston is rapidly climbing to a terrifying championship-level peak. When Clark commands a hard double team at 30 feet and Boston is legally bullying power forwards under the rim, the Indiana Fever offense becomes mathematically unsolvable for opposing defenses. However, we cannot ignore the glaring failure that was simultaneously exposed on this exact same microphone. While the players are executing at an elite level, the coaching staff is proving to be completely asleep at the wheel, threatening to stall out the team's massive momentum. Later in the press conference, a reporter directed a question to head coach Tiffany, noting that Clark was entirely unaware she had received a technical foul by halftime, prompting an admission that should absolutely terrify the Indiana Fever front office. White looked at the media and admitted, "I didn't know that she got a technical either. Nobody told us, so I thought the officials would have told us." Let the sheer, unadulterated incompetence of that statement completely wash over you. The head coach of the Fever, surrounded by a bench full of highly paid assistant coaches whose exclusive job is to monitor the game, had absolutely no idea her franchise player was one whistle away from an automatic ejection in a tight, volatile matchup. This is not a minor oversight. It is a complete, unmitigated systemic communication failure. And if Clark had been ejected in the fourth quarter because White failed to protect her, it would have been absolute coaching malpractice. The reality is clear. The players are winning games in spite of the sideline, not because of it, and the WNBA old guard is officially out of options. They tried to rattle Clark with physical intimidation, and she responded by dropping 30-footers and laughing their fines. They tried to isolate her on defense, and she locked them down. The competitive demon is officially awake. The rest of the league is completely out of answers, and the establishment's fake narratives are lying in ruins. Smash that subscribe button right now for the most fearless, high-octane analysis on YouTube. Drop your most explosive takes in the comment below, and hit the notification bell because the Fever are winning, the fines are piling up, and we are documenting every single piece of the wreckage. See you in the next video.